We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Cries. This is all I'm hearing. Oh, Boxing Ego, you're wrong. Shakur Stevenson pay-per-view. Let's break it down further. Now, I told you in my last video, don't shoot the messenger. And that's exactly what some of you guys did. So check out that first video. I reported how it's going down. Stars to the stars, and I got to know now. Shakur Stevenson, Joe Cordina card on pay-per-view, and Beterbiev versus Bivol for Undisputed. You can switch networks and watch it on ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus, if you have a subscription. Now, I know I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. When I speak, people listen. When I speak clearly. If you understand English, you should very well understand Boxing Ego. However, some people lack comprehension skills, so let's go over it yet again. You can choose to come to my channel for free and get this information and listen to the breakdowns. Believing me is optional, I guess. But why would you be listening to a person give you boxing news if you don't believe anything they're saying? And there's a lot of content creators that rush out content, put out fake news, bunch of clickbait. And it's funny, your boy Ego has a proven track record for accuracy. And despite all of the rushed, low quality, low resolution content that you can find on platforms like this and across the internet, you got naysayers who have the audacity to challenge Boxing Ego's reporting. I've been doing this. I'm your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. Again, you come to my channel, believe me if you want. Don't believe me. The pay is still the same. I get paid the same. So again, let's go over it one more again. Shakur Stevenson versus Joe Cordina. His portion, so from his fight down, you have to get from dazn pay-per-view. That's what's being stated, right? dazn pay-per-view. dazn pay-per-view. I made this graphic. It's on my page. There are people who want to challenge this, and to me, it makes perfect sense, and I'll explain in the video. I'm not saying it makes perfect sense in terms of it's a good idea. I'm not saying that at all, because I think it's a terrible idea. I'm saying once I explain it and further break it down, you will understand why this is being done like this, or at least what I believe to be the reason. So for starters, after my video, you see another website put out this. Boxing Strange Split, Beterbiev Bivol on ESPN Plus, Shakur Stevenson versus Cordina, headlines dazn pay-per-view. So again, you have people who doubted Boxing Ego and my report and my reporting. I've cited all my sources. I've given you my opinion. So just so you know, and I'm not saying this because I need it. I don't need any assistance. I don't need any validation, but I'm just going to show you there are other websites in boxing and they're saying the same thing. Furthermore, y'all must have forgot, Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev is a fight that was previously scheduled. In fact, it was supposed to be the main event paired with Deontay Wilder versus Zhele Zhang fight, right? That was the initial fight from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Deontay Wilder versus Zhele Zhang set for Beterbiev Bivol undercard in June. So they were supposed to fight in June in Saudi Arabia, all on one watch under one card, and they end up canceling it and postponing it because Beterbiev ended up getting injured, right? Deontay Wilder has his next fight confirmed June 1st when he faces Zhilei Zhang at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The pair battles it out on the card topped by Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, scheduled for a 12 round. That fight is, of course, already happened because this was back in June. So, again, they want Boxing Ego to be wrong. They want me to not know what I'm talking about. You can listen to whoever you want, but bet on Boxing Ego, right? So I've illustrated to you this Beterbiev Bivol fight was a fight that got delayed through injury. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Now, you see this closing statement. According to Top Rank, the main event, which is Beterbiev Bivol, the main event bout airs live on ESPN Plus in the United States as a special one-fight broadcast. The live stream of the entire card is expected on DAZN internationally. Why is DAZN doing this? You'd have to really ask them. So I've just shown and I've proven to you that this was the same setup for the Beterbiev Bivol fight when the fight was supposed to be paired with Wilder Zhilei Zhang. The only reason that Beterbiev and Bivol didn't happen in June, again, was because Beterbiev got injured. Done. Now, since I've shown my steps, it's just like, remember in math class when you have a teacher and they say, show your work? I just showed the work. So this is not surprising that they're doing it yet again now that Beterbiev versus Bivol is back on. The only difference is instead of Deontay Wilder versus Zhilei Zhang, which was somewhat intriguing as a heavyweight fight, even though I knew it'd probably be a bad fight for Wilder coming off the loss to Joseph Parker, but at least it's heavyweight action. You knew someone would get knocked out. The bad thing is I told you these Riyadh season boxing cards were going to get progressively worse. Did I lie? Now, instead of Beterbiev Bivol in Saudi Arabia, undisputed, being paired with Wilder Zhilei Zhang and the other cards they had for that card in June, that got scrapped. Beterbiev injured, now he's good. And then they're putting Shakur Stevenson versus a guy coming off a knockout loss from a lighter division, Joe Cordina. They're putting him as the co-feature or the headliner of the DAZN pay-per-view portion. Why would they do this? Again, you have to ask DAZN why they would do this. But since I am the best in the business and it's not even close, I will give you guys my opinion, right? I've already shown my work. What I believe to be the case is this. You look at Riyadh season, they do not have a host of talent. They don't have their own stable, if you will, right? Meaning they don't have a promotional company where they have 18 welterweights, 30 lightweights, which means they have to draw from and pull from actual promoters, licensed promoters from their talent pool. So they got to work with Frank Warren and Queensberry Promotion. They got to work with Eddie Hearn and Rematch Room. They have to get PBC on board to make El Rayo, Jose Valenzuela versus Isa Pitbull Cruz, right? They have to work with Top Rank to get Jared Big Baby Anderson, and then they have to work with Boxer in the UK to get Martin Bacoli and make some of these fights. They had to work with Crawford, who's like kind of a free agent, working with Turkey, and work with Eddie Hearn to make that main event because Israel Madrimov is signed to Rematch Room. So the problem with not having your own, meaning your own stable, you can't really do in-house fights without the assistance of others. That being said, it creates a problem. Since you do not have, like Top Rank, they have their own fighters. So they could work with smaller promoters if need be to make some fights, right? Riyadh season doesn't really have that. They don't really have 50 plus fighters that are exclusive to them. which means you have to get free agents like Shakur Stevenson or maybe Terrence Crawford, overpay them probably, and then you have to work with somebody in their division who's likely assigned and has a promoter and a promotion. So let me expedite this for you so you guys can better understand. So the problem with this, not having your own thing, like PBC, they could put Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora. They don't have to reach out to Turkey. They don't have to reach out to Top Rank. These are all Al Heyman fighters. They can make an Errol Spence Jr. versus Sebastian Fundora, who's a champion. They don't have to reach out to Bob Arum or Boxer or any other networks or entities because it's in-house. That's not the same for Riyadh season. So the problem with that is you need the participation of multiple promoters in order to make ish shake, right? That's the reality of it. So Shakur just became a free agent. You put him in a fight that nobody wants to see. This is not a sellable pay-per-view. And then now we find out that if you have an ESPN Plus subscription, which is much cheaper than anybody's pay-per-view, because you're just paying a monthly, it's kind of like a Netflix or Hulu where you're just paying a monthly fee. So basically, because you're working with all of these different promoters, Top Rank, they want in. They need some rights to air and broadcast the fight too, because the people really want to see Beterbiev versus Bivol. If you look at this whole card, that is the number one fight that boxing fans would be happy for. It just so happens that Beterbiev beat Vodstick, has a good resume, beating the Marcus Browns and the Anthony Yards and Joe Smith Jr.'s. Beterbiev has more belts, and he's signed to Bob Arum and Top Rank. So obviously when they were hashing it out, this is my opinion, Bob Arum and Top Rank, in order to make this fight, they wanted some distribution or broadcast rights so we can please our partners, which is ESPN. Top Rank and Bob Arum, they have an exclusive investment and an exclusive boxing deal at this moment with ESPN. So why would Bob Arum have a unified champion like Artur Beterbiev, who's undefeated, who's bringing more belts to the table, and just give that all to DAZN in Turkey and say, hey, we're going to, because that's a dangerous fight. Some people are picking Bivol to beat Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev beats Bivol, but I'll save that for another video. It's a great fight. And I'm not saying Bivol has no chance, but that's a fight either guy can lose. So you think about it, why would Bob Arum have a unified champ and then host such a great fight, but then have no dibs or no way to distribute the fight as he sees fit and just give it to DAZN pay-per-view? So basically, you're looking at these Riyadh season situations, and everybody who's involved has some semblance of a distribution or method for them to promote the fight. So, for example, when Crawford fought Madrimov, Amazon Prime and PBC, since they had the co-feature, Pitbull and Rayo, you could buy the pay-per-view from PBC and Amazon Prime. Or since Top Rank had the fight, they have fighters on here like Jared Anderson, you could buy it from ESPN Plus, who has the exclusive deal with Top Rank, or you could buy it from DAZN, who has the exclusive with Eddie Hearn. So in order to make it fair and to provide that equity, it looks like these scenarios, they are making it available on multiple platforms because it's taking the fighters from multiple platforms to make this happen. The downside is you're cannibalizing yourself because you don't have an in-house way of getting these fights done. You're cannibalizing your own self. So from Shakur Stevenson down, you expect people to pay a DAZN pay-per-view for just those fights. But then the real fight people want to see is much cheaper, and or some people already have the ESPN Plus app. But again, it's still going to be cheaper, and you can at least watch that fight on ESPN Plus. So this deal it sucks. It's like a rapper in the 360 deal. This is not a good deal because you're cannibalizing yourself. It makes such a hard sell for the Shakur Stevenson versus Joe Cordina, a guy coming off a loss, a guy moving up in weight, and then his portion of the card is pay-per-view. And that's a weak fight. And the undercard is not great. So you're expecting, I don't know the price point, but let's say $60, $70, whatever. That's what people are supposed to shell out. But then for whatever ESPN Plus cost, you can get just the main event, which is actually the fight that matters for the division because it's for Undisputed. And it's a fight that's been postponed, fight with the backstory. It's a fight people want to see. So the way they got this is messy, it's sloppy, it's confusing. Not to me, but I know it's confusing to some of you guys because it's all over the place. Why would somebody buy a pay-per-view on one platform, but then you have to pay top dollar for that, and then the best fight on the card, you got to go to another platform, which is cheaper to watch the real fight? You know, it's just such a weird way to split the fight. And you never really see this goofy stuff with PBC. I'm just being real. Like, at best, if Canelo is fighting a DAZN fighter, yeah, you can order the broadcast from DAZN. But you can just buy it from PBC, Amazon Prime, and watch the whole card, right? And the price points are not going to vary. But it makes, like I said, you're cannibalizing yourself when you have the best fight on the card available on a one-fight broadcast on ESPN Plus for a more reasonable price, the price of ESPN Plus. I mean, you guys can look up ESPN Plus to see what their current price is, right? And then you can either do that to see the fight you really want to see, or you can buy DAZN pay-per-view. It's just, it's such a hard sell. And I feel like there's a big lack of like almost like ingenuity or know-how with this Riyadh season and what's happening with DAZN. First they say pay-per-view is dead. Now they're saying it's not dead. And then you're expected to buy the Shakur Stevenson, Joe Cordina fight card on pay-per-view. But then you can get the main event that people want to see, which is a meaningful fight, and you can get that for a much cheaper price. Like DAZN is whatever price for the pay-per-view, but for ESPN Plus, I already have a membership. So for me, I'll use me as an example. I don't have to come out of pocket any more than it's just on a recurring billing. So I get ESPN Plus no matter what because I already have a membership. So basically, I get to watch the better fight, Beterbiev and Bivol, for whatever I pay. I think it's like $9.99 a month, $10.99 a month, or whatever. So you don't have a strong enough undercard to really be splitting it up like this, and it's just goofy. And anytime you have more obstacles and additional steps, it's just going to confuse the viewers. That's why so many people were in my last video, and they were like, "What does this mean? I don't get it." And having a hard time computing and comprehending what was going on. And maybe just to further illustrate the point I'm making in this video, this is the card. This is the card. So you can get Beterbiev Bivol on ESPN Plus for whatever the monthly subscription rate is, which is obviously going to be cheaper than the pay-per-view. Or order the DAZN pay-per-view, which is more expensive without a doubt, and get the main event, Shakur Stevenson, Joe Cordina, right? Chris Eubank versus a guy Triple G beat years ago that's not good. Camille Sarazmeta. Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark rematch. Jai Opataya and Jack Macy. Ben Whitaker and Liam Cameron. Sky Nicholson, Raven Chapman, and Mohammed Alekel and Jesus Gonzalez. So to get the pay-per-view, this is what you're really paying for. You're really paying for this. Because it doesn't, again, if ESPN Plus is cheaper for the actual Undisputed Showdown, then it doesn't really make sense. If you could watch this for cheaper, most people are going to do that. Whatever the cheapest option is, they're going to do that. And then what's worse is Shakur Stevenson, he's coming off performances that people criticized. People were leaving early. So to have him kind of, in essence, headlining, it becomes hard to make it make sense. That's basically what I'm saying. Like, for example, if you look at Apple is strategic. They're not going to release iPhone 15 Pro Max and then the next week release the iPhone 16 Pro Max because you cannibalize the sales of the other. Why would I buy an i15 if I'm in the market for a new iPhone? Why would I buy an iPhone 15 Pro Max when I could just wait a week and buy the iPhone 16 Pro Max? So that's why you have to space it out a bit to the point where, like, this year is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then next year we got the iPhone 16 Pro Max coming out. But if you drop them all at the same time, then it really doesn't make sense, because if you're in the market for a new phone, you'll just wait until the better one comes out. And that's the same thing with this Beterbiev and Bivol. You can pay more money to order the DAZN pay-per-view to get the fight, right? And the undercard is not strong to me. Or the actual fight that you truly want to see, you could get it at ESPN for a reasonable price. And that's like legit the fight that people are the most hyped about. All these other fights are like some UK stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't even understand the market that is even being targeted by DAZN. This doesn't help Shakur, because this is kind of like his first pay-per-view. This is not going to get you closer to Tank. You're not fighting someone that we even care to see you fight. People were leaving your last fight. And then on top of that, the numbers just probably won't be strong, because you can't have, there can't be like a workaround or a cheaper option, especially in America, and then you expect people to pay more money. There has to be like a significant jump. Like, we have this car wash, right? And they have 3 tiers, 3 levels, but each level gets you something better, right? So you have to be able to justify, why would I, if I could get the basic car wash and it's $22 a month, why would I pay $34 for the mid tier? And then why would I pay $44 for the highest? But the way they outline it is, the basic is just a basic wash for $22. The one that's $34, the reason you would pay $10 more is because you get everything that the basic one offers, and then you get, and then there's these bullet points, boom, 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 boom. So you get everything the basic offers, but the $10 more is getting you, and then it outlines what you're getting. This becomes a hard sell, because how do you justify spending your money with DAZN for a week pay-per-view when the fight you truly want to see, you can get it at a much cheaper and affordable price through Top Rank and ESPN Plus and Boxing Ego? Because keep in mind, I got the ESPN plug and affiliate link. So it's a no-brainer at that point. So it's a no-brainer. And the way that they structure it like that is extremely weird. But again, this is what happens when you don't have your own stable. You got to do goofy stuff and kind of appease every promoter. Like, hey, I'm lending my fighters, so you got to let my platform, my network, you got to let us in on this. You can't just give it all to DAZN. Like, it doesn't make sense for Bob Arum and Top Rank to just have a unified champion that could lose, you know, hypothetically, because it's a good fight, and then just let DAZN reap all the benefits for it. So DAZN gets the viewership, because again, the Top Rank, them lending Beterbiev to Bivol is the best fight on the card. So why would Bob Arum or Top Rank not do this deal where it's made available for ESPN Plus, which that makes more sense for us Americans. So I don't understand who they're even targeting. The best fight on the card you can get for the cheapest price. All this other stuff is just like kind of supplemental at best. So I'm really not understanding the strategy and how they can even market this with this particular undercard. The undercard is far too weak for you to even split it up like this. But again, when you don't have your own stable, you got to do this weird stuff so everybody has a seat at the table and everybody gets to eat, because Top Rank probably wouldn't do the deal if it didn't match their needs as well. Or this promoter. Like, why would PBC give up 2 PBC fighters for Crawford Madrimov like Pitbull and Rayo if they weren't getting paid what they wanted to get paid, and if they couldn't sell the pay-per-views? But again, just like Crawford Madrimov, a lot of people viewed the PBC fight, Pitbull and Rayo, as the best fight on the card because Virgil Ortiz and Tim Tszyu got canned because of an injury. So really weird marketing decisions by DAZN and by Turkey and Riyadh season. And you guys were the ones saying that Riyadh season and Turkey were saving boxing. But this just becomes like convoluted, confusing, more money. I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding at all. And in real talk, I've already stated this. Shakur versus Cordina is a horrible fight. Terrible fight. Horrible fight. It doesn't even pair well with Bivol Beterbiev. You'd be better off getting like David Benavidez or something and putting him as the co-feature. But it's just like, I'm not understanding. You guys are saying Turkey has endless money for boxing and he's giving us the fights we want to see. I don't want to see Shakur versus Cordina. I could think of several other key players in or around lightweight division that I would rather see Shakur Stevenson fight. Putting him at the head of a pay-per-view is just goofy when you can do the ESPN for, again, much cheaper. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this clears it up. A lot of people had questions from my previous video we unpacked.